As we talked about, Hurricane Patricia, it bombarded the Mexican coast with strong winds and rain. Now, it's not been nearly as bad as expected, with the storm being downgraded to a Category 1 early this morning. But here's what we do know about the storm this morning. As we just mentioned, it's now Category 1 with sustained winds nearly 75 miles an hour. While it is weakening, officials continue to tell people to stay sheltered as the storm passes. CNN's Martin Savage reports now from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Rain continues to fall on Puerto Vallarta. It's been doing that for a number of hours now, but what they did not get was what they much feared, and that was the full impact of Hurricane Patricia. We never saw hurricane winds here, and we definitely did not see any kind of storm surge, both of which could have been catastrophic in a city that is home to so many high-rise hotels and built right along the ocean front. They say that there were about 15,000 tourists that were evacuated. Many of them were actually sent off to places like Guadalajara, other major cities, or they were bussed out to other locations to get out of the storm's path. Those that could not were sheltered in place in many of these hotels. They're not staying in their hotel room. The accommodation is not quite so nice, but at least they were in solid structures. They were protected, and that was the safest way to handle things. The lights have remained on. Communication has remained open. There's no reports of significant damage here in Puerto Vallarta. All of that is good news. On the flip side of that is, of course, this storm did go somewhere, and it's done extensive damage as far as can be told, at least in the darkness, and that is to the south by about maybe 100, 135 miles, or roughly 215 kilometers. There seems to be structures, even significant structures, that were knocked over. I'm talking about bricks and cement. So the concern is in Puerto Vallarta for the rain. Elsewhere, daylight will reveal the damage. Back to you.
All right, meantime, a Noblesville native is trapped in Mexico, forced to ride out Hurricane Patricia as it finally made landfall last night. 24-year-old Ben Stevenson traveled to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico last week for a vacation with a friend. Stevenson lives and works in San Francisco. By the time he got word that his was going to be perhaps the largest hurricane ever on record, it was too late to evacuate. Stevenson is holed up in a condominium with his friend and other strangers who've taken shelter there. His mother, Rachel, has been keeping in touch via text, but at some point, it's expected power and cell service would go down.
We can't call, it won't go through. We can't get on the computer. The only thing we've had for all day is text messages. And he just says things like, "Hang in there for me, Mom." And I just keep texting him back saying, "Ben, I'm doing everything I can."
Now, Rachel has been in touch with the Red Cross and other agencies, who says they've all told her it's a wait and see before they can do anything. And depending on the damage, it could be several weeks before Stevenson or any tourists will be able to make it out of Mexico. If you want to keep track of Hurricane Patricia, you can do so at WTHR.com. There we have the latest damage information along with several interactive maps and a photo gallery. So click on Tracking Hurricane Patricia under the Top Stories tab.